it's great to be back home on a weekend. We haven't been back home for a Saturday game in a month, so it's good to sell out. Be good for our fans, good for our guys. It's a nice thing about basketball is you get to bounce back pretty quick after a loss. So I thought we had a good spirited practice today. I think our guys will be ready to go. Definitely didn't play our best basketball on Wednesday, but that's how college basketball works. You're not perfect every night out, but if you can get better and learn some things, make yourself better moving forward, that's what it's about. We definitely got exposed on some stuff Wednesday. I think we got better these last 2 days in practice and looking forward to playing another game on Saturday.
Charlie.
You talked about the physicality after the game. Is that something that's maybe beneficial for the team this time of the year ahead of the SEC and NCAA tournament?
Yeah, I think, that was definitely probably the most physical game we've been in. I mean, Houston was physical, UConn was physical. We're going to have to handle some physicality. I don't think the officiating in the NCAA tournament, I've coached enough NCAA tournament games, they're not going to let it quite be that physical in the NCAA tournament. There's just, officials get evaluated and move on. They're not going to get away with as much physicality in the NCAA tournament. It doesn't work like that, but we have to handle physicality much better. Like, I didn't think we did a great job with because there's physicality that's not fouling too that we didn't handle well. I mean, it wasn't like every time we turned the ball over due to physicality it was a foul. That's not the case at all. There's some missed calls, there's missed calls in every game, but we got to handle it better. I thought, yesterday's practice was more clean up what we need to clean up against Tennessee. Today's was all flip the script to Georgia. So, we need to do a better job before the game, getting our guys to handle that type of physicality. Sometimes it's easier for the players to realize they're not as good at it once they get beat by it. And I think, you look at our 4 losses, there's different things we've learned every loss. We talked about it as a team with the players, like what did we learn? So that's one of them. I think, if we see them again in the SEC tournament, I think we'll handle it a little bit better. They're going to make improvements on stuff too, when they play us again. So I look forward to playing them again if we get the chance, but they're number 1 in the country on defensive side for a reason. So we got to get better at handling it.
Mike.
You talked a lot about winning the SEC now with Texas A&M and just a game behind. Can you use that as sort of a point of pressure on your players to keep them motivated, focused?
Yeah, I think. I mean, they know that A&M's only a game behind. We only get A&M once. It's on the road, so we've got definitely some pressure on us these last 5 games as far as trying to win the SEC regular season goes. But more so than that, we just talk about getting better. Like, what do we need to improve from the Tennessee game? How can we get better? I think we've answered, every loss so far this year pretty well. Let's not turn Wednesday's loss into a loss Saturday. Let's bounce back. I thought the guys had pretty good attitudes the last 2 days. But yeah, I if you're looking for extra stuff to get motivated, that might be one. I don't think we need anything extra to be motivated, to be honest with you, though.
James.
On Wednesday, Jay Hill said that Amari Burnett was a difference maker for you guys as you guys go into March. Is that one of the reasons when you brought him here? Is that what you kind of envisioned him becoming as a guy that can kind of do it all for you as a guard?
Yeah, I mean, he actually played some point guard in high school a decent amount, so we thought he could kind of play multiple positions, and he's been pretty good. He played well against Tennessee. We didn't all play great, but I thought played pretty well. We've got to get his defense back where it was before the injury. To me, that's where he's not quite back because he's shooting. He shot well Wednesday. So, but yeah, I think he could definitely be a difference maker for us. And the better he plays, the better off we're going to be because. Like Sears struggled, obviously he only scored 2 points. We need somebody else to go with Brandon when, Mark's struggling. Like, I think Amari can be that for us. And he has been that for us at times this year. So, hopefully he continues to play better. And, better he plays, obviously, the more minutes he's going to get, the more comfortable he gets in the lineup.
Kate.
JQ just said that last year's Georgia game is in the back of their heads. Obviously, you have a lot different roster from last year, but how much has this Georgia team kind of improved from under Mike White from the team you faced last year in Athens?
Yeah, I mean, markedly improved, to be honest with you. I mean, they're better on the defensive side of the ball. They've got better depth. Seems like they've got better chemistry. They're playing harder. So, you know, that loss was a bad loss last year. I mean, they won 17. We gave their only win in SEC play. So I would hope that the guys that are returning from last year, that would be sitting in their minds too. That was an embarrassing loss last year.
Mason.
Kind of a little bit off topic, but yesterday at the Lewis game, I kind of saw Herb Jones just stop by. Just how does it feel to see one of your former players just come by now during the All-Star break just to support the program?
Yeah, I mean, Herb's from around here. He's a great kid, unbelievable person. It's great to see him. You know, he's stopped in at practice today. It's good to talk to him. I mean, they watch a lot of our games at school. Him and Kyra are on the same NBA team, so they get to talk about, you know, Alabama, decent amount. He's telling me what him and Kyra were saying. So, yeah, I think it's great. I think it's great. He comes to women's games. Sure, he'll be at our game tomorrow. He comes back to support his alma mater, and you know, he's an Alabama kid. They grew up not far from here. He's back home during the All-Star break. It's great to see him.
Tony.
Well, you seen Brandon kind of have times where maybe he struggled throughout a game and then just take it over, and he's kind of had that patience. How would you describe what's behind that patience on the court and how he's able to just kind of kick it into another gear?
Yeah, I think some of that too is, you know, teams come out of the gate at the beginning of the game, like we got to shut Brandon Miller down, and he's been so good, and they got a pretty good game plan. And as the game goes on, there's some slippage, guys get in foul trouble, he gets loose in transition a little bit. I mean, I think the Arkansas game is a perfect example. I don't think he had a field goal attempt in the first half, and he kind of broke that thing open there late in the second half. You know, but he's done better at being patient, making the right plays, being a great screener, moving the ball, not pressing, taking bad shots when teams are trying to play him a certain way. You know, I think it's more just having a high basketball IQ. You know, in the NBA, teams aren't going to be able to do that to him. I mean, teams get away with a lot of holding and grabbing. I mean, he's getting fouled off the ball more than anybody I've seen in college basketball this year. Like I think he's handled it pretty well. You know, I think he could easily get very frustrated with, you know, how he's been being guarded. Like, they won't get away with that in the NBA. For him next year, you know, he'll play in a little bit more space, and, you know, freedom of movement's a big thing. It's supposed to be a big thing in college. It is a big thing in the NBA. Like, he'll be able to actually cut without being held. So, you know, I think he's shown a lot of patience. He's shown a pretty high IQ. He's all about winning. So him taking bad shots when he's being guarded a certain way or pressing the issue would be bad for the team. I think he's been all about the team this year. So I think it shows he's a team player. He's got a high IQ, and he's, you know, he's a good basketball player.
Charlie.
Jason Holt's been in their starting five for the last 6 games. When you're watching film, do you see maybe some progress from him from his time when he was here with you guys?
Yeah, I mean, he's growing up. He's getting better as you do with experience. And that was, you know, when we sat down and talked, I mean, me and him and his mother had multiple conversations about whether it was best for him to stay or go. And I think, you know, one of the reasons for him leaving was he wanted a bigger role and more playing time. And he, you know, I think he's getting that there. You know, Georgia's in a rebuild. You know, it's back home in his home state. So I'm happy for him that he's starting. And he was a good kid when he was here. You know, his mother's a big basketball fan. Still see her when we're at AAU events over in Georgia, and she's great. You know, the kid's good. I'm sure we'll see him get a big hug before or after the game. But yeah, I'm happy for him. Like, he's a great defender. You know, he's still not making shots, but we all know he's a shooter. I mean, we could do a scout report. Like, you can't leave Jason open. We know when we recruited him as a shooter, he can make shots. I'm sure he's making them in practice for them because he's still taking a good amount of them. Like, if you're a coach and kid's taking a lot of threes, you're seeing him go in somewhere. You know, it's probably more in practice, so he's probably getting more and more comfortable in the games now that he's starting more. But yeah, I mean, it's just overall he's grown as a player. You know, and his defense has gotten a lot better too.
Mike.
Just how has Charles gotten through the last couple of days in terms of his knee and getting back to 100%?
Yeah, you could tell he wasn't close to 100% at Tennessee. I mean, he was slow moving, and that's why we didn't play him as much there in the second half. But he has not practiced just in us trying to get him back to 100%. He's, you know, done rehab and trying to get him back. We're gonna, see how he feels tomorrow and see whether he goes at all or not, and how many minutes we kinda think he can give us, but he hasn't practiced the last 2 days. We're just trying to get back to 100% as quick as we can.
Thanks, Coach.
I appreciate it, guys.